Welcome back to F1 2016 here, guys. We are getting into the second half of the season. This time out it's the Hungarian Grand Prix. More cars are bringing their updates. Now, since the first driver position has come around, we get those bonus resource points every weekend. So we're going to look to be saving those over the next few weekends for some big updates as the European leg of the season closes out. And then we can look to be a bit more competitive at the flyaway races at the end of the year here. Obviously, we're going to be looking at areas such as engine power and things that are going to help us in a straight line, as we've got, Belgium, Italy, Germany, races like that coming up. Here in Hungary, it's Monaco without the barriers, as it's so affectionately called, as it were. So we've got an interesting one this time out. We've got a wet qualifying. This is ourselves in Q1, I am led to believe. I've done my classic thing of recording these a long time ago, and then doing the post commentary. So it was heavy rain conditions in Q1 here, so we're just feeding it through the end of this lap. This is our third time around because you can fuel the car up on a wet session and just keep going around. Your pace will improve as you learn the track. So we come across the line for a 38.7. That's for P7, and that will comfortably get us through to the next part of qualifying as we look to speed up the session. Or will it? Or will it? No, it put us down to 17th. I think we're going to have to go out again here at the end of Q1. I'm pretty sure, actually, the track's dried out enough, and I think the reason why we've fallen down is intermediates are the best bet, as shown there via being told by the engineer to put the intermediate tyres on. And again, this is our second lap around on the intermediates. First lap was enough for 10th place, but I wanted to test the true pace of the car in the wet, because the wet might skew a car's statistics. Like, you would expect the best cars to still be the fastest, but you can put it more down to the driver's skill as well. So we power out of the final corner. Losing time as our exit wasn't great, but we go 9th. We made up quite a bit of time. It was like 6/10 on our delta. So 9th position in a wet Q1 sees us nicely through into Q2. Rain in Hungary is a weird one to deal with. It's never really expected. The place was affectionately known as, I think it may still be known as, like, the Dust Bowl, due to, like, the incline. I think it's always known as like a dusty, dirty circuit here. But we're in Q2. This is an early part of Q2, and the rain appears to have pretty much died off. We've still got a few sort of drips in the air as we come around the final corner. This is a fresh set of intermediates, our very first lap out on there. Daniel Ricciardo provisionally fastest on a 33.4. We go 5th fastest with a 35.6. So just over 2 seconds off the pace. Certainly not ideal by any stretch of the imagination there. But what we did do is, by the end of the session, we bolted on a set of super softs because it was dry enough, there was good enough grip on the outlap, and it's like, do you know what, sod it, go for glory. Do a Jos Verstappen from qualifying in France 2003, and you can see by the first corner we're over a second up on our delta there, and we can just, we can put one of the slowest cars on the grid fastest. You can see by the middle of the lap, the chicane here, we are 5 seconds up on our delta, and the car just felt nicely hooked up on low fuel. And you can see here by the final corner, it's 11 seconds up on the delta, 12 seconds up. We're speeding towards the start-finish line, and it is fastest in Q2. That's, of course, no reflection on how quick we're actually going to be in the dry, but it felt good. It felt good to be the fastest car in a session, 9.3 seconds faster than Daniel Ricciardo. No one else actually managed to get a time in on the super softs. Cars did go out on track, but they left it too late, unfortunately. Didn't pick their spots like I did. No real surprises sneaking in, your top teams. I mean, Palmer's outdoing Magnussen, which he has done a few of the most recent races there, which is a surprise. This is now the end of Q3. Sun is shining. Track is now nice and dry, and this is where more of a true reflection of the pace of the car and what we're going to be expecting from this weekend to come about here, because in practice I only do the resource points gathering sessions, and we're 10th. We were 2.3 off of Alonso, but the lap was scrappy, and I went out just to do a lap to compare my pace to other drivers, and it's not great. So we'll have to see what we can do in the race. Our dry pace is not good because it's still just starting to show more and more as other cars improve how off the pace we are. We're not directly the second slowest car anymore. We are now like tied with Mana for that unique distinction. And then, as said before, you know, we're going to be looking to bring a big upgrade package to the next few races. Not this weekend, maybe not for the German Grand Prix next time out, but you never know. But it's Red Bull on pole, Red Bull in second, then the Mercedes, then the Ferraris, then one of the Renaults. Minks it up in there. But that's your top 10. We're now going to head over. It's round 11, and it's the Hungarian Grand Prix. Well, it's raining again, and as you can see there, it's looking like light rain for the whole race. So no real mix up in any kind of strategy, which is a little disappointing. But a recent tactic I've learnt from watching a lot of like F1 careers and you know, just like F1 2016. For the first time, I think, in this game's history, I'm going to underfuel the car by quite a bit because I've seen it be very effective. And obviously in the wet you use rich mix a lot less anyway, so we can make up the fuel back and hopefully off the start be a bit more competitive with the lower fuel in the opening laps of the race. But now we build to those 5 red lights, and it's long hold, and there we go. We are away for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Slightly delayed. Massa gets a good start to our left. Second phase of the start is good for us. Button punching a hole in the air that we're going to follow down towards turn 1. Everyone else squeezing up now, late on the brakes. We've been nice and bold down the inside of everyone, cautiously turning into the apex, not slewing too wide while everyone behind us appears to be making contact. We've got up into 7th place behind the Ferrari of Raikkonen. Can we look to make a move into turn 2? No, we filter in just behind him. Cars are pretty heavy, even after underfueling at this point of the Grand Prix. Can we look to maybe stick our nose down the inside? No, we can't. We're going to have to settle there for 7th. But 3 places off the start line, that's certainly nothing to complain about in these wet conditions. And we're now literally behind the top 3 fastest teams at the current present moment, with McLaren just behind us now. We now cut to the end of lap 2. The group of 6 cars ahead of us have driven off down the road. We do have a bit of a train behind us. We set our personal best lap of the race so far, as we now head down towards turn 1. This would be the point where DRS would usually be enabled, but due to the rain, it's not being enabled. We take a slightly wider line. It's going to be a trend that you're going to see that I may do during this Grand Prix. Take the wider line through the corners, go out there, find the grip, get the good exit out of the corner, which means you're going to be shutting the door on the AI a lot, because the AI doesn't really understand, you know, the benefits of driving in the wet, such as trying to go and find the actual grip itself. So as you can see here, the top 6 have pulled even further away, and they're actually splitting apart themselves. I believe the 2 Red Bulls have built quite a gap to the Mercedes, who then have a little bit of a gap through to the Ferraris there. I'm quite lucky because I haven't been great out of that final corner all weekend, and I'm kind of lucky that I've got both McLaren Hondas behind me, so obviously their straight line speed is going to be no real issue to ourselves. And you can see that there where Button closes up under braking, takes the tighter line into the corner, but no real dice on the move there. Hamilton's actually dropped down to 6th. I don't know if he's potentially got an issue with his Mercedes car. We brake, and we actually go a lot deeper this time than expected into turn 1. Can Button look to make any kind of move on this? He was initially very shortly side by side, but again, nothing doing. So the early stint of this Grand Prix, the first stint, nothing really much happening. We're just sort of, you know, maintaining position in 7th. There's a bit of a queue behind us, but then there's a gap to the proper back markers, which you can see Grosjean is unfortunately part of, as we now come off the final corner again. Button's a little bit closer this time around, but again, the McLaren Honda just not quick enough to be able to come up behind us and make any sort of bold move. But again, we go really wide into turn 1 this time, so much so the Button's actually going to temporarily take the position from us there. He gets good drive out of turn 1. Can we look to make the move into turn 2? Dive it down the inside. Water will be getting kicked up off the back of his McLaren into our face, but we do make the move stick down into turn 2 as we maintain 7th position. And I believe it's 5? Is this 5 or 6 championship points this would give us? I don't know. Marcus Ericsson's out the Grand Prix. I didn't manage to get a replay of it, unfortunately, but due to the fact he has parked it down there on the mini-map, you can assume engine failure. But now we get the safety car, and I'm so glad it got called at this point, because as Jeff is just rabbiting on, I'm going to talk over you, Jeff. I'm going to talk over you. Fuck off. It was called at that point, which was great, because it allows us to peel into the pit lane and fit a fresh set of intermediates, which means we're not going to lose any time in comparison to the leaders that have to go round a whole lap. I mean, we will still be required to catch the safety car queue, but where we'll be able to pass the safety car on our lap round, as it were. But obviously the leaders will have to stick to a delta, and you would assume the fact that they are going to lose position with the fresh tyres. So coming out of the pits, we are into 11th. Grosjean went into the pits and Button's out the race. I don't quite know because Button was behind us on track. Okay, so it looks like he carried on. He's coming up behind the safety car now. And what the hell was that, Jensen? He just he ploughed into the back of the safety car. We'll get an on-board shot of it here. The McLaren Honda, he builds up the speed, 150, 160, and, well, I mean, he brakes and starts to turn, and then just stops dead. And, well, I don't know what's happened to the car for him to sit there like that, because it looks as if it was just front wing loss. Anyway, due to the change of tyres, Vettel now leads, Hamilton second. The Williams have come out of absolutely nowhere to be third and fourth, and now we're hounding Bottas. Like, come on, give us the green flag. Bottas squeezes us, punts us into the pit lane. We have to bump across the grass, push Bottas out wide. That means Ricciardo's going to get round, but he pinched himself on the exit of the final corner. He hasn't got the best run. We're going to be on the outside for turn 1. Can we do it? Braking just after the Red Bull, but bringing it down nice and cautiously, round the outside, get the grip, find the better traction now, and that's it. We're past Ricciardo. We retain the 4th place that we were going to be in from passing Valtteri Bottas. There's the debris of Jenson Button's front wing. We're now lap 14, coming up to the halfway point of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And, I mean, provided it stays the way it is, we've been very good at our defensive driving so far. There's going to be no real changes to the weather, so there shouldn't really be any kind of spanners in the works here. We've got one more scheduled pit stop for another fresh set of intermediates. But Daniel Ricciardo is a lot faster in a straight line than the McLaren Hondas were, and he's gone straight past us into turn 1. We're going to try and make the exact same move that we did before. Go out wider, get better grip, find better traction on the outside of the circuit. And it looks as if it's going to work again down into turn 2. He's managed to stay ahead for longer, though. We're going to have to be braver on the brakes this time around. Ricciardo couldn't quite turn in as we kept our nose there. And we're just going to retain the position by the looks of things. Ricciardo's on the inside, but we keep it just about as we go wide over the curbing. At the end of lap 18 now, we're definitely at the halfway stage. Massa is starting to pull away from us. Our car, not very good in the wet. It was very... The car was not great in Sector 2, and I'm now running wide in the penultimate corner here in Sector 3. That's going to allow Ricciardo through, so he's going to make it up into 4th position. But our car was not very good in Sector 2, which is the sector where you need the most downforce and where you'd expect to make up the time, especially in these conditions. You need that mechanical grip as well that we just weren't getting. So Ricciardo has gone up into 3rd position. I think we're not going to get a chance to go past him. We've gone deep into the corner. Rosberg's now going to be having a little look at us. Can we look to pull the same move? Carlos Sainz is now at the Grand Prix with a yellow flag. Let's have a look and see what that was about there. We flicked to the replay. So that's Grosjean behind Sainz. Oh, Christ. So in the spray, he's also had an engine blowout, and Grosjean there. It's a good thing Sainz was smart and slowed down after he was off the circuit. So if he had immediately just slammed on the brakes or tried to bring it down, then that would have been a huge crash. Now Ricciardo's been freed of us. He's now setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We're on to lap 20. We've got Fernando Alonso running 5th in the McLaren Honda. And I believe he made a slight tap into our rear just there. It's unsettled us under braking. Alonso now going to try and do what Button couldn't. Get a better drive out turn 1, but no, we've got it again on our wider exit line. We're going to then stick it to the inside of turn 2. We tap tyres with Alonso. That's probably going to allow Rosberg to have a little look at him. This is the point. These conditions are where McLaren Honda are going to be getting points. I mean, I know they've upgraded their car a bit, but they're still not on the same page as the top teams and where they want to be. But we retain 4th place. There's another yellow flag now. Not too sure what that's about. Looks like a couple of cars have managed to stop at the exit of the turn 5. So let's have a little look. This is on board with Sergio Perez. So this is happening behind us here. Looks as if we've got there's been contact between what looks to be a Red Bull. Oh, that must be Verstappen who was behind us. He's clouted the front wing of Perez. Here he goes. He was having a look at Rosberg. He's got unsighted under braking. Car's been unsettled by that. And then, oh, he's clipped. Oh! So he clipped Perez. And then as he was sliding across, I mean, that didn't look like Verstappen's fault to be. I mean, it may have been his fault in the braking zone, but as he was sliding back across, not much he could do. And unfortunately, it's been Jolyon Palmer has caught the worst of that. I mean, thankfully he did a 360, but it looks as if the car has gone in some kind of anti-stall there that he's going to need to fix. But yeah, anyway, Ricciardo made his pit stop and went for a fresh set of intermediates, so he's now back behind us there, and he closed down us at a vast rate of knots after doing that. So we're going to come in now at the end of lap 24 for our final pit stop and then another set of intermediate tyres. And then it's just a simple drive to the end, really. Nothing major really happening so far in this Grand Prix. No kind of big outages, like none of the big names blowing up, and it's getting to the point in the championship where people are going to have to start considering what they're doing. Of course, the two Red Bulls, Daniel Ricciardo started out his season fantastically with 5 wins and 125 points, and then since then he's not been very good. So Max Verstappen's been leading the Red Bull charge. I think he's overtaken him in the championship, and I think Hamilton is having a bit of a resurgence now as well. So we've come out in 5th behind Massa, as you would expect, still ahead of Alonso. So that looks to be the fight we're going to be having to the death here. We're now on lap 26. Rosberg has got ahead of Alonso, so I think Alonso may have made an additional pit stop or he's fallen behind. I'm not too sure what's actually happened there, but we've now got Rosberg up behind us with the Mercedes power, and he's just probably going to breeze straight past us. We go to the inside to cover him off, which usually isn't what we'd look to do. We'd usually try and take the outside line, but we've got it on the inside. Squeeze Rosberg out means he can't get the better traction on the outside, and we retain 5th position and the 10 points that go with it there. And now lap 29, so it's just a matter of counting down the laps and practicing and focusing on our defensive driving, because again we've just found ourselves in a position where we're outperforming the car. We've gone very deep into turn 1 here. Rosberg's going to switch back on us there. Oh, but he's got a poor exit. We've got caught on his rear tyre. We go towards turn 2. We're on the outside here. This is new territory for us. Can we look to go round the outside of Rosberg, who has been pinched on the inside of the corner? He doesn't get good drive. We bang tyres yet again, and we've managed to take it on the inside of turn 3. That's now Kimi Räikkönen, I believe, charging up behind Rosberg, and now overtaking him to set himself up to pass us. But as said, you know, we're outperforming the car, and the fact the rain is definitely helping us. Grosjean is on fringe points, I believe, like he's just outside the points. Räikkönen's now going to have a go at us into turn 1. We've been tapped from the Ferrari. We're unsettled into the braking zone there. We've gone very, very deep. What's going to happen on the exit here? We try and get it over the curbing. We bang tyres with Räikkönen yet again. Rosberg's still behind. Räikkönen is ahead as we go into turn 2. Apparently we've got minor damage, but Jeff gets shut off. I don't know why. But through turn 2, Räikkönen's still on the outside. Can he hold it on the inside of turn 3? Oh, it's so close side by side. But Räikkönen's got the better speed out of the corner as we go towards turn 5. And it would be stupid to lunge one down the inside of him there. We'd only have a huge accident. And Räikkönen's got us on merit there for that 5th position. And credit to him, you know, we have to show Ferrari that we're prepared to fight because of the Haas link with Ferrari. We need to show that we are competitive. But obviously at the end of the day, Räikkönen outdid us, and you'd expect the top team to be able to get past us there anyway. Rosberg once again trying it on the final lap of the Grand Prix. This is an unedited final lap because there is a huge train of cars behind us. We've got Rosberg, Magnussen's in there, I believe. Palmer might be in there. Alonso's back there. And we now have the utmost duty to defend this 6th position and continue the points haul that we have been on. I mean, there's never been anything huge, but oh, we've run horribly wide there in turn 5. Hamilton wins the Grand Prix from Mercedes. Rosberg gets past us. We lunge it down the inside of turn 6. That puts him out of position for Magnussen to come through into 7th place now. Our old teammate at Renault. Can we navigate through the chicane successfully? We've gone wide again. We take a big old load of curb. Means we can't get on the power. This is the worst sector of the circuit for us. Magnussen is just stalking. He knows we're weak in traction and through this area. Look at him. He's so... Look at all the cars in our mirrors as we keep looking back. We've got a Toro Rosso back there as well. Through the right-hander that I was struggling with all weekend, especially in the wet. And now Magnussen, he's running out of opportunities here. He's not going to send a suicidal move down this 90-degree right-hander. We move towards the penultimate corner on the circuit. As long as we get it slowed down, don't run it out too wide. We've kept it in nicely. The front tyres are wearing at this point. We defend any cutback line. We follow the racing line through, and we should be able to bring it through now successfully. Through the final corner, Magnussen gets on the power a lot earlier than us, but it doesn't matter. We're going to come through and across the line for 6th place at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and we had to drive so hard just for that 6th place. So there you have it. Hamilton wins the race with Vettel second. Ricciardo made it up to third. Felipe Massa with a fantastic 4th for Williams. Then you got Raikkonen, myself, Magnussen, Rosberg, Kvyat, and Hulkenberg to 10th. So I don't quite know where Alonso was in all of that, but we maintained 6th in the Drivers' Championship, equal on points with Kimi Raikkonen. Max Verstappen leads the Drivers' Championship with Lewis Hamilton now only 2 points behind, so he's having a resurgence here. Rosberg is still in it mathematically. I mean, technically we're still in it mathematically, but we need to be realistic here. Red Bull at the top of the table by 40 points. We continue to... I think we lost points actually to Williams this round due to Massa's 4th place. Williams overtake Renault. And it's going to be a hotly contested battle for 4th for the rest of the season in the Constructors' Championship, I think, there. But that was the Hungarian Grand Prix. I wasn't expecting it to be a completely wet race, and I think our pace in the wet wasn't ideal. The car felt a lot better in qualifying under low fuel than it did in heavy fuel during the wet weather, and I think the setup that I was working on in quali definitely hampered our race speed. But alas, we've now got 1100 resource points, so we're going to be looking to make those big upgrades that I was talking about. Not one this weekend, just sort of looking at the screen, weighing up the maths here. We're probably going to be looking at engine, drag, and more than likely, I mean, chassis weight and downforce give sort of like the similar sort of upgrade in like progression on the bar on that right hand side, if you see what I mean there. So that'll be an option to weigh up when we get a few more resource points. But guys, thank you very much for watching. I know this race, we didn't have so much excitement in it. It was more defensive from ourselves, but we have to be maintaining as many points as we can in these races here. But thank you very much for watching once again. Leave a like if you didn't enjoy, and comment any feedback down below. Remember to hit subscribe and enable the notifications to be the first to find out when content is coming to the channel. I will see you all next time.